Well, hello there, motherfuckers and motherfuckettes. I have to just say, Ronda Rousey signing with WWE. Now, this has been going on, a rumor for 3 years, but now the rumors are louder than ever. So, TMZ reported back on December 15th that nothing has happened. I'm seeing it on Facebook more. People are, I'm not sure if her name is trending yet, but it's pretty close to it. Everywhere I look, any wrestling related post, Ronda Rousey close to signing with WWE. She signed with WWE. She's three-quarters of the way signing with WWE. It's pretty obvious she's going to be a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble, just like AJ Styles was 2 years ago. Pretty obvious that that's what's going to happen. You're gonna expect the big surprise, especially since one of the big stars is now their career is over. Now they're going to need to get as many people into that rumble to make it seem as legit as possible. So, I talked about this in the past just briefly because, quite frankly, it gets annoying with all the rumors. But there's one teensy little problem about Ronda Rousey being in this Royal Rumble and being in WWE in general. She's not relevant anymore, guys. It was almost 3 years ago to the day she appears at the Royal Rumble that she appeared at WrestleMania 31 back in 2015 with The Rock. At her side, and then you had Triple H and Stephanie, and then the rumors started to float around the internet. Oh, the tag match is on for next year. That segment was meant to lead up to the next year's WrestleMania when they were finally going to officially sign Ronda Rousey. The only problem is that was 3 fucking years ago. Now, Ronda's been beaten numerous times. The allure of Ronda Rousey has faded. She was a flash in the pan. She wasn't exactly like a Conor McGregor. She didn't have a big brand behind her. All she had was an undefeated mean streak. And now that that streak is ended and pretty much her fighting career is pretty much over. And there's been many more women's fighters that have proved to be tougher and more legit than her. The prospect of Ronda Rousey isn't really that appealing anymore. They've already got Sonya Deville, which is a far less known name. Now, of course, Rousey has name recognition. But if they signed her back in at least 2016, even when she was, suffered that big loss, like that big first round loss, that embarrassing loss, at least she could have came in and she still would have been relevant and people would have tuned in to see her. But now even more time has passed. You waited more than a year to sign her from that. That was like late 2016. You waited that long to sign the girl. Now nobody gives a fuck. People have moved on to the other women in the UFC. There's been other girls, that have made her a distant memory. So to be signing her right now, it's like, okay, it's just like basically signing another girl. Also, it looks kind of pathetic. She's washed up. She's used up. She's used up all her star power. Her 15 minutes of fame have already faded from the limelight. So it's kind of like it looks like she's got no place to go. She could either go to the minor leagues of MMA or she could get with professional wrestling. Now everyone is basically going to say she couldn't handle the real fights, so she had it to settle for the fake fights. And that's going to make her look terrible. And that's going to make her look a lot less legit. The thing is with Brock Lesnar, yeah, you could say that he might have lost his last couple of fights, but he had diverticulitis and the guy almost fucking died. So that's a different story. Also, Ken Shamrock, when he came to the WWE, it didn't really bring a lot more eyes with him, but as more people started to watch, as newer stars were built, uh, Ken Shamrock got recognized by those people who might have not known that Shamrock was in the WWE, and he was legit because he still was a guy that was racking up a lot of wins, and he had a lot of notoriety in the UFC. Ronda Rousey is just kind of an infamous loser at this point. So we all know what's going to happen if they do indeed sign Ronda Rousey, and she probably, if anything, she's already signed at this point. And if she's not, then she'll probably officially be signed very, very, very soon. The Rumble is less than 2 weeks away, I believe. So they're probably trying to keep this under wraps. They probably told all the media outlets like TMZ, "Oh, we're not officially signing her just of yet." But it was like AJ Styles. Nobody really expected it. That just proves, they can't get away with anything nowadays because the internet's always there. If they kept their mouth shut and they did things like they used to do back in the day, protecting themselves with kayfabe and just basically being quiet and not telling their secrets to every single employee, uh, it proved with AJ Styles that somebody can make a surprise appearance and nobody would be any of the wiser. So, they're probably going to do that with Rousey. You heard it here. Well, not first, but I'm one of the few people that's probably saying you're not going to hear an official announcement. It's not going to happen. She'll probably just appear, whatever number she is going to be. And if she is indeed in the Royal Rumble, she's going to win it. It doesn't matter. WWE doesn't care. If they're going to sign her despite her irrelevancy at this point, she's going to win it. And what I'm seeing on the internet from people, yes, that is probably true. She's going to go, be in the final two with Asuka. It's either if they don't sign Rousey, Asuka will win the match. If they do sign Rousey, then Ronda will probably win the match, or at least it's going to be pretty close. But if they do sign Rousey, pretty obvious that that's who it's going to go to. They're probably going to have her win it. And I'm not really too sure that this is a good idea unless they've been training her in secrecy, which is also a possibility, but I kind of doubt it because with all the smarky wrestlers, that's true. Everybody says, oh, everybody that watches wrestling is a mark. Well, a lot of the wrestlers are also marks, as it's proved on with some of these up and comers, these indie guys, even these supposed veterans in NXT, they've proved that they're just as big of marks as anybody. Even the IWC themselves, they are members of the IWC. They can't keep their mouth shut. So the thing is, we're going to have an amateurish person. It doesn't matter if she's had previous MMA experience. People like to say this, oh, Naka Murphy has previous MMA experience. Okay, the difference is it's not real. Not everybody can translate well to a style like professional wrestling, where it is a choreographed fake form of entertainment. See, people get this disconnect. They just automatically assume that every single MMA star is going to be a great professional wrestler. Because you see, they're not entertainers. Those are like the real athletes. Not saying that wrestlers are not athletic. They are, some of them, but it's not the same thing. So to expect Rousey to just have a natural gift like Brock Lesnar or Ken Shamrock is just a fraudulent thing to say. It's an inaccurate thing to say. It's really a retarded thing to say because it's not the same thing. It's hard to adapt from one style to another. It's like asking somebody who's just a pure boxer to step into the octagon. It's not going to go the way that you think it is. Or it's like, many football players, just because football is a physical sport, the professional wrestling is not a real sport. So they're not always going to translate well into the ring. So it's also probably not a good idea to get even more amateurs and start, shooting them up right away, to the top spots. Like, obviously they're going to do because just having Rousey appear in the Rumble and just be eliminated at number 14 is not exactly going to cut it. And quite frankly, it would look dumb. they're going to want to make a big splash with Rousey right away. So they're going to have her either win it or be close to winning it. And they're going to risk her being in the ring with somebody and possibly injuring them. And do we really need that? Especially hot off the heels of, Paige's career coming to a screeching halt? No, quite frankly, we don't. And as I explained, it doesn't look like WWE even cares. They don't give a hoot because they've already let Seth Rollins, the dangerous guy who's already injured multiple people, they unbanned the move that they deemed to be unsafe at one point years ago. So now, they unbanned the move, and now Seth could possibly injure even more people. And we're gonna have to now keep our eyes on Rousey if they sign her, because we don't know what this girl is capable of. It's different with Sonya Deville, because she's been in NXT, she's been in the Indies, they've been she's been wrestling, she's been getting practice. This girl, they're gonna give her a main event match without a doubt, and she's not gonna know what she's doing. She's gonna end up obviously trying to go for one of them Muay Thai kicks, and she might fucking knock somebody's block off. And like I said, is that a good idea? Especially since Paige's career ended because of a sloppy ass kick that was a bit too stiff. That's what Rousey's gonna do. She's gonna be throwing a lot of kicks on a lot of hands, and she's not gonna know how to pull her punches like wrestlers are supposed to. But nowadays, it's actually encouraged not to pull your punches. We see that all the time with Nakamurphy and Asuka. They just kick people, and Sasha Banks, of course. They just kick people as hard as they can in the head, in the back, in the neck. It doesn't matter. There's no safety precautions. The days of taking care of your opponents. It's funny. You had these guys back in the day, even the stiffest workers, and like Stan Hansen. You think about these big brutish men, Bruiser Brody and all these guys. They were so tough in the ring. Even a guy like Hardcore Holly. Isn't it funny that a guy like Hardcore Holly, where people complain, oh, he was stiffing the tough enough contestants. Funny. I don't seem to recall anybody that got injured, seriously injured, like any broken bones or anything at the hands of Hardcore Holly, despite them saying, oh, he's a dangerous guy. It was funny. It was the same thing with Bill DeMott, Hugh Morris. These guys had this terrible reputation for like torturing wrestlers and Tough Enough, but for some reason, they never injured anybody. But matter of fact, it was funny because Hardcore Holly got his arm broken by a supposedly safe wrestler in Kurt Angle. And that was an accident. Then you had Bill DeMott, who also got his neck broken by accident, or seriously injured, you could say. So I don't really know where all of this really comes from. And also, you had who was it? Oh yeah, also Hardcore Holly, also with his neck at the hands of Brock Lesnar. I might have those two guys mixed up what their injuries were, but both of them had gotten injured at one point in time or another. So, these guys got injured, and they didn't actually dish out any of the injuries despite all the reports at the time. So you kind of see how the consensus is all mixed up, but there you go, guys. So Rousey might be signed. If she doesn't appear at the Rumble, I could pretty much tell you that she's probably never going to appear, because at this point it seems pointless. It really does. But I guess it will be interesting if she does come, despite the irrelevancy of it all. But hey, you never know. It might turn out to be something good. I'm just really worried, especially after the whole Paige fiasco with Sasha Banks. We really don't need to take any more chances. It's enough with the chance taking already, and throwing caution to the wind, because now we see the amount of concussions, the career-ending injuries. Enough is enough already. There you go, guys. Anyway, until next time, motherfuckers, I'll see you for the SmackDown review.